Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. How's everyone doing this morning?
Good
Doing
morning.
great.
Happy
Almost
Saturday.
better.
All right. Well, for anybody that was here last Saturday, that was way different than last Saturday, where I was in kind of a one person, or I guess Laurel, it was a two-person echo chamber here because nobody had unmuted. So it's always fun here, but here on Voices of Health Point. So. Guys, we're going to get started here. For those that are new, this is a 1 hour that runs from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those that are in further west and in those other time zones, man, you guys are hardcore and we appreciate you being here. For those that don't attend live or can't, this does get uploaded onto YouTube under the name Voices of Health Point. So look for it there, or if you've caught it live and you just want to review it or share it, it's all there for you. So we've got a bunch of docket items here, which is really fun. I'm going to uh, do one called Theories of Human Change and Growth. And I'm kind of laughing about that because Laurel has one that is on circadian rhythm and weight loss, one that she's titling We've Got Rhythm. And in the preamble, we were joking that I'll first put everybody to sleep with talking about all these theories, and then she'll talk about circadian rhythm. So that's going to dovetail real well. We've got David Munoz that is going to mention about a fun non-scale victory. We talk a lot about non-scale victories, and those are always fun to hear. And then we've got Carol. Hank and Carol are back from San Diego, and we're so grateful to have them back on the program. And she's going to talk about how to properly start your day, as well as kind of promoting and making everybody aware of some really key upcoming dates and things that are happening in this world of HealthPointe and business. So with that, let me first note this. The content shared here is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. Our discussions draw on wellness concepts similar to those found in the HealthPointe methodology, which we hold in very high regard. The ideas presented are independently developed and do not represent or speak on behalf of the HealthPointe brand. So with that, let's get into the theories of human change and growth. Grab your caffeine, grab your cup of coffee. So last Friday through Tuesday, I was deep in final study mode for my national board exam in health and wellness coaching. It was a blur of flashcards, case studies, and coaching theories. Much of that time was spent revisiting the foundational behavior change theories that shape health and wellness coaching. Everybody watch your microphone, please. If you're not on, please mute. So much of that time was spent revisiting the foundational behavior change theories that shape health and wellness coaching. And I couldn't help but recognize how vividly they show up within HealthPointe. These aren't just academic models. They're the living framework behind what we all experience here. So rather than keep that realization to myself, I thought it'd be fun to unpack a few of these theories together so we can all see how the science of change plays out in our own 6-week cycle journeys and in the way we support others through theirs. So the heart of change, self-determination theory. If there's a king among coaching theories, it's self-determination theory, or SDT. Developed by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, SDT explains that human beings are wired to thrive when 3 psychological needs are met: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. In simple terms, we need to feel that our choices are our own, that we're capable of meeting our goals, and that we're connected to others who believe in us. HealthPointe embodies these 3 forces in motion. It's not theory here, it's daily practice. Let's look at autonomy. While there's structure and guidance in the program, there's also freedom. Participants learn the principles like macronutrient balance and food lists, but then adapt them to their real lives. With their coach's support, they decide what meals, routines, and rhythms work best for them. So that's autonomy. Competence. Daily check-ins that allow for feedback build mastery through small, consistent wins. Over time, confidence replaces uncertainty, and success begins to feel inevitable. And we've all seen that, right? Where that success feels inevitable. That's that growing competence. And then relatedness. Our weekly cadence of Zooms, WhatsApp groups, and especially the 3 in-person conferences each year create bonds that run deep. These aren't surface level connections. They're relationships that begin to feel like family, the healthy kind, where people cheer for your progress, care about your consistency, and inspire you to keep showing up. You want to do well, not just for yourself, but because these people matter to you and you matter to them. When those 3 needs are met, motivation flips from I should to I want to, the turning point where change becomes sustainable. Okay, let's talk about self-efficacy, the confidence engine. If self-determination theory explains why motivation takes root, self-efficacy explains whether it grows. Albert Bandura defined it as belief in one's ability to succeed in specific situations. Coaches see this every day. The client who once said, I've tried everything, nothing works for me. They complete a 6-week cycle and they see the scale move big time. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. That shift from doubt to capability is what powers long-term transformation. Social cognitive theory, the power of our community. Bandura also gave us social cognitive theory, SCT, which teaches that people learn in a social context through observation, environment, and behavior. We model what we see, and when we see others succeeding, our own belief expands. That's why the HealthPointe structure, from daily encouragement to our in-person weekend conferences, is so powerful. In social cognitive theory, it's social cognitive theory in motion. People witnessing change, modeling success, and becoming living proof that growth is possible. The trans-theoretical model, meeting people where they are. If SCT shows how we learn, the trans-theoretical model, or TTM, shows where we are on the journey. Many of us can instantly recognize someone's personality type using Florence Littauer's framework of sanguine, phlegmatic, melancholy, or choleric. Similarly, once you're familiar with TTM, you can sense where someone is in their readiness to change. Are they in pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, or maintenance? Think of it this way. Trying to coach someone in pre-contemplation mode with an action step strategy is like handing a spreadsheet of numbers to a bubbly sanguine and expecting enthusiasm. The key is using the right strategy at the right stage. You don't need a PhD to do that. Many of us already rely on intuition, but when that intuition is backed by science, it becomes a precision tool. Personality frameworks reveal who someone is. TTM helps us see where they are. The broaden and build theory, why positivity matters. Barbara Fredrickson's broaden and build theory of positive emotions explains how emotions like joy, gratitude, and connection do far more than just make us feel good. They literally expand our thinking. Positive emotions broaden our awareness, helping us see more possibilities and build enduring resources, mental, emotional, social, and even physical. Over time, these resources lead to greater health, resilience, and well-being. That's why HealthPointe's structure, the shared wins, daily check-ins, and community encouragement is so much more than just quote-unquote feel-good stuff. It's the practical application of Fredrickson's theory in real life, where positivity becomes the emotional chemistry of sustainable change. Then from positive emotion to flourishing. Martin Seligman's PERMA model, which stands for positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement, captures what flourishing looks like. Each element is embedded in our rhythm here. The joy of small wins, the engagement of consistency, the relationships formed in coaching, and then the meaning of paying it forward, and the achievement of completing each 6-week cycle. As we explore these theories together, it becomes clear how alive they are within HealthPointe and our shared experiences. The models may have academic names like self-determination theory, trans-theoretical model, social cognitive theory, but their power shows up in everyday moments of growth, connection, and change. Whether we apply them here inside of HealthPointe or in our other areas of life, in our families, our work, our community, the pattern remains the same. People flourish when they are supported, connected, and inspired. All roads, it turns out, still lead to HealthPointe. Okay, guys, that's my segment. Not sure if we need to go into that circadian rhythm and some sleep topics right now. But if anybody has any comment or questions, or I think what I know to be true here is that all of us, as we're listening to these, in this case, maybe it's the first time you've ever heard some of this. Others maybe more, but even if it's the first time, if you've experienced a 6 week cycle, or if you've coached somebody on a 6 week cycle, I know that these things are just kind of leaping off the page to you. You're like, I've seen that, I've experienced that. And so it's not about memorizing these theories. Again, that intuition, that awareness that these theories exist, but more importantly, we've seen this in action. And maybe it buffers it, maybe it strengthens it. I mean, when you know that there's specific science and theories behind what your intuition and gut is telling you. But yeah, I'm curious if anybody has any thoughts on that.
I loved it. I love the article. That was great. I will say exactly everything you were saying. I was nodding my head, going, "Yep, yep, yep." So yeah, it fits right. In fact, I would love to get a copy of that because there's so much in there that you shared. I'm thinking, oh, I'm not even going to try to take notes here. It's too much. But I think it's a good thing to remember when you, like you said, you work with anybody, whether it has anything to do with Health Point or not. And it's, what I out of all of that, what I wrote down was supported, connected, encouraged.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so anyway, yeah, I will say amen to all of that.
Oh, great, great. Excellent. Thank you, Laurel. And Carol, I see you unmuting there. Hello,
Yes,
Carol.
as you were going through that, Eric, and some of us that have been around for a while, some of that rings so true, but it's also a great reminder. So we go back to the health point, all roads lead to health point. There is, and I have access to it, a personality quiz from Personality Plus, because we want everybody to pick up the Personality Plus book and read it in the beginning, but most people might not, especially if we're giving them the, conquering your negative attitude, your negative thoughts, and different things. And this will give them a quick summation of where they fall in the personalities, which also helps you, especially if you're coaching somebody that you don't really know very well, or maybe you're an encourager or an upline coach and you don't know them at all. This kind of gives you an idea of, when to go and when to cut back, and how they are assimilating things. And so I'm going to pull it out. The only reason that I stopped sending it out was because there's a area in there that wants to charge you, and there is no charge for this. So I want to make sure you don't go down that rabbit hole. So I'll go back over it, and I will uh, I will see if I can't clean it up, or at least put a disclaimer in there and get that out to some of you that are coaching, because you might find that helpful with your people. And first of all, run through it yourself so that you can find the rabbit hole where it wants to charge you. I did it for a few people. Most of them didn't have a problem with it. I don't know if any of you on here um, did take that. I sent it to you. But then I think one or two of you did have a problem and went down and took a wrong test. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to stop this until I can simplify it. So, did anybody take that successfully?
I did.
It's,
Remember, I sent it to
oh,
you and we decided we
yeah,
were
yeah,
twins.
yeah. Boy, isn't that the truth, though? I thought you were one of them, Laurel. Right at the
Hi,
get-go.
But
Carol.
I do remember that it had something, it was connected to another. It was like somebody took that quiz and put it on another quiz platform. And that's why it wasn't directly off of Florence Littauer's or whoever's the
Hi,
gal that's
Carol. Oh, go ahead, Laurel.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I took it as well, but I didn't have any link that took me someplace else. It was just the test. And you and I and Carol are all the same.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
so curious by nature. I probably drifted off the path just out of curiosity. So maybe,
Well,
you
if you're
know,
saying one, I guess you can do it with
well,
no
yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
problem.
You go down a
Lots
rabbit
of good
hole.
stuff.
I was going to say maybe that's actually one of the part of the test is to see who goes
That's
down the
right.
rabbit hole.
Okay, we know how to deal with that one.
Hey Carol, I took it too, and if you remember, you were really surprised by my results. Um, and
Yeah.
in the beginning, I almost did go down. I started, and I was like, "Wait, no, this isn't right." So then I exited out of it, and then I went back and tried something different, and then did do it successful. But so yeah, you do have to kind of be careful with not knowing anything the first time around. It was a little confusing, but if you tell people ahead of time, don't do that, do the other one, it's like embedded in it. I don't know if you're going to be able to get rid of it or not. It almost seems
Yeah.
like it's an ad kind of thing, but
Well, and I don't want customers to
right.
that's why I kind of stopped it. But it is valuable information to uh kind of understand how to work with them, and especially if you're dealing with, somebody that's a choleric, you can say, what do you mean you don't want to eat blah blah blah? You know, you don't do that with a choleric. So
And
Well,
that
anyway,
and
we're,
that book was actually required reading at Ford Motor Company probably 30 or 40 years ago.
well, you know what? Maybe we ought to take of 30, 40 years ago. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, because
Well, I took a test. It wasn't the personality plus. I only learned about that through the business, but I did years ago take Myers-Briggs, I think it was.
yep, that was
So
popular back then.
yeah, well,
you know,
maybe we just need to get people to take that and say, hey, you want to learn about how you function, and we can approach this thing really, really fine tune it according to your needs.
in,
Doll it up and put a price on it, and
well, remember one of our online live streams, I think it was a Connects or something. We had, or maybe it was a weekend, we had Kathleen Edelman that came and spoke. It was
yeah,
online. Yeah. Well, I went and looked up her. In fact, it's funny because I just had it sitting back in my bedroom because I was looking at it. I bought her book, which was a grown-up's guide to kids wiring to help with my kids with the grandkids. And they have all kinds of free work, a sheet like this one says, and I started it for my granddaughter and I was going to have my son do it. But it does uses phlegmatic sanguine, it uses those terms, and there was a free quiz, and it just checked the marks that apply to you. So I would think that maybe on her if she's got free ones for kids, she's probably got a free one for adult. You could just get a paper copy of one and people could give that to their clients.
you know what, Laurel, I'm a great delegator. If
Yeah,
you
I'll do
could pull
that.
that up and send it to me in a good, easy PDF form, we can send that out, and that might be an easy way, because she is Florence Littauer
Yes.
next generation. So she even spoke of that in the beginning. She uses all the right terms and everything. So yeah, if you could do that, that would be great.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Okay.
Great, great stuff. Um, Eileen, I saw you, I think unmuting or going off camera. So I just want to say if you were wanting to unmute and say something, um, come on, come on down. As who used to say that? Bob Barker, come on down. So Eileen, maybe it wasn't. Maybe you just accidentally tapped your screen. But if at any point you or Bruce are
Hmm.
wanting to say something, obviously just unmute and pop in here. But
Eric,
yes. Uh-huh.
I'll join in on going back to your the thing that you did.
Yeah, yeah.
I
The
can't think of the
theories.
term. The
Yeah.
theories, right? Um, you know, it's interesting. Oh shoot, I have a phone call in my watch. Just a second,
Okay.
and I don't know how to turn it off from my. Okay, there we go.
She's
Oh,
Dick Tracy.
anyway, now, brother, it's too much for me, Laurel. Um, the talking about the stages as far as um, when when they're ready or not, when they're thinking about it. I don't remember the terms you use because, like, well, I didn't copy it all down. When they're ready, when they're willing, when they're actually taking the action steps, those steps, remember?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I have to say that as far as walking, for me personally, getting the steps in, that was always something that I've never felt like I had time. I wouldn't do it in the morning. I wouldn't, by the time when Steve and Jer go work out, I'm the one home getting dinner, so I wouldn't do it after my day was complete. So it was one of those nebulous areas. But I will say this, that when I started listening to this, the voice, the walk and talk, when I started listening with you guys and started joining in to the conversations and listening and so forth. And first, I started it on the YouTube channel because I
Hmm.
wasn't willing to get up so early on Saturday mornings to do it live. But I found it so compelling, so interesting. I congratulate you on the pieces that you pull together and then tie it into HealthPointe. I mean, I think that's fabulous. And the fact that then there's conversation from this perspective and that perspective, I started really, wow, that's when it turned my key. And I think
Mm.
that that's what all this community trend is about. And the interesting thing, I was actually going to call you and tell you this because I thought it was interesting. There's a girl in Detroit. I listened to a radio station, a morning talk show kind of thing. And there's a girl in Detroit who actually has started recess for adults. Laurel, I don't know if because you're in the area, you might listen to 104.3, but this gal has started an adult recess program. And as she was being interviewed, it was all about, they just set a place where people, adults, can go and walk together. There's no agenda or topic to talk about. There's nothing other than the fact that they think it's necessary to, quote, build community. And I thought, oh my goodness. And they don't even
Mm.
have a subject matter to be listening to, which takes my mind off the fact that I'm doing these steps, And I thought, well, that's interesting. Community is certainly a trend. The word is a trend, but the fact that it's so necessary and so many people are finding it. And apparently this thing is going viral,
Mm.
that a lot of people, they will set a point like at a park at 4:30 or whatever, and then people will just show up and then they'll walk. So,
Mm.
and I don't know what happens after that if there is a topic, but I just would say that you do such a good job, and the fact that so many of us gather together and just do this, that's really what turned my button as far as getting my steps in and getting me better um, hanging into the program. So that's what I would say about that.
Mm. Yeah, that's great, Pam. Thanks for that. I love the branding on that too. We all know probably about recess, the term recess as kids, right? That was always you're just hanging on the edge of your seat, can't wait for that bell to ring so you can go tearing out of the classroom outside and go run in those cases. But that adult recess is kind of neat, and we could probably build on that within, and we do that, right? Within HealthPointe. We, because we're national and global. A lot of it is on Zoom, but the morning walk and talks, whether it's a Saturday one here or also on Mondays at 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time, and then the Thursday. But I think also and thanks for sharing on that, Pam, about your own journey on how, the circumstances, in terms of, whether you felt ready to do that walk, and you're kind of like layering out how, your responsibilities and different things that you're doing in your schedule, all of that comes into play. And if somebody comes in too hard, doesn't recognize that you're kind of in that pre-contemplation mode at that point, comes in too hard, too strong, or, God help us, dictates to you that you need to do something, then that's about as effective, again, as I mentioned earlier, as, handing a spreadsheet to a sanguine and saying, here, do this. It's just they're not ready. It's not the way they're wired. But it's not to say also on the flip side that we do nothing if we're a coach on that. Each stage has its own things that you can do. I was trying to think, kind of your own tool that you can apply. But, if somebody's in that mode, pre-contemplation, which is, think of it as almost like denial. It means they don't want to. They might not recognize that they want to. They'll tell people they don't want to. And so what's important there? Well, one of the things that's important through everything is always the relationship. If you're having visits with them, book another visit with them. Ham bam, have a meeting, book a meeting, and try to stay with them. But then there's that something that I didn't throw out here, but it's all pretty intuitive. The decisional, it's called the decisional model. It's basically advantages and disadvantages of changing versus advantages and disadvantages of not changing. If we look at your situation, Pam, where you're talking about, getting up early and doing a walk at that time, there's advantages, probably very clear advantages to not doing that. You get to stay in bed and not, join in, get some sleep and rest and so forth. But there's also an advantage to if you did do it. And, but there's disadvantages if you do it, right? Maybe there was something else that you were going to do with your time, maybe sleeping, but there's disadvantages if you don't do it. So it's that decisional model, but working with somebody in that pre-contemplation mode, with that. Whereas like when Emily and I came into HealthPointe, because we had already gone through our own personal journey, although we didn't know it, of pre-contemplation and contemplation. And we were at action. We were trying things. We were frustrated. We were trying to figure it out. We were like, are we just dumb? Why don't we know how to, get healthier and lose weight? And so for us, we were at that action step. We weren't at pre-contemplation. We weren't at contemplation. We were at action. So we wanted something to be explained and execute on. And we literally started it on a flight, a return flight, of all places. But that's how ready we were. We just changed the in-flight meal and started, very imperfectly, but got going. Now, equally frustrating, if somebody would have dealt with me as a pre-contemplation mode on the trans-theoretical model and just, did all this decisional balance stuff, and I would have been out of my mind because I'm like, I'm ready to go. Let's just go. And so it's applying the right methodology at the right stage. Just because somebody's at action mode doesn't mean that you start at the beginning and treat them like they're in pre-contemplation. But if somebody is in pre-contemplation, probably not a good idea to come in with all the how-to and the strategies and the action steps because they're not ready for that. But it doesn't mean you do nothing. It's different things at different stages.
I think when people here, let me turn when people are coming into this, as I'm thinking about my own personal situation, but we used to do this with kids, and people need to be able to visualize themselves. And I think when I think about the walk and talk, I was kind of like Pam, laying in bed with my headphones on, you know. uh, but you need to people need an opportunity unless they're ready like you were. But somewhere along the line, they have to picture themselves in their head and see, how am I going to fit into this? And I noticed at our senior center here in our community, they've got glass walls on the exercise room. And at first I thought that was strange. And I was talking to the gal one time and she said, well, a lot of people are afraid to sign up for the class because they don't know what to expect. But if we have the glass windows, they will stand, and you see them all the time, seniors standing out there looking and going, well, I could do that. Oh, she's way worse than me. I mean, you just know that's what they're doing, but they're trying to fit themselves into the picture. And that's why I think sometimes, like some of the stuff we have offered now through Network 21 and like our Saturdays, gives people an opportunity to kind of be the fly on the wall, listen in, see, does this interest me? Could I do this? What would happen if I was a part of that? And so I think easing it into it that way, you could offer, hey, you just listen in, or hey, do this, or and I think that's a valuable thing, because people have to feel comfortable before they put themselves in the middle of it. I think I know of a couple people who are contemplating doing HealthPointe, friends of mine, and they're going to have to watch some of those Network 21 things before they'd ever um, open up their mic. I mean, it's just, but they need to know it's a safe environment. And it goes back again to Mavlov, you got to have the creature comforts before you can move to the next level. So anyway, thought I'd add that.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Laurel. Thanks. And what a great strategy at that center to have that glass. I mean, could you imagine if that's a solid wall and they have no idea what's going on in there until you got to be pretty bold, and confident to open a door and go in and say, okay, I'm going to join. But to be able to sit quietly back and observe, and so true. That's what we're doing here in these Zooms and the conferences. People can observe. Um, you know, Jim Dornan often, well, he commented, and not just Jim Dornan, many comment about, we're kind of a strange organization where we're like, come check us out from the inside, right? This isn't like, um, you know, and people are given ample opportunity to do that. So that's great stuff. Um, Gosh, Eileen, I saw you unmute again, and then I think myself, I was blathering on here, and so are you ready? We'd love to hear from you if you're. I know you guys run busy lives, so you might be in a stage now where you can't unmute or unmic, but I'll make a deal with you. If you unmute and unmic, I don't care who's talking. Certainly me, I'm going to stop, and anybody else, I'm going to butt in and interrupt them and say, "There's Eileen." And she's got the mic now. So I'll keep an eye on this and see if you do come on. There you are.
Hey, so I have such a hard time unmuting and starting my video. I don't know why, but so that's the deal. But my comment was from a long time ago. It really wasn't that important. It was just about that whole fee thing with the survey. And I did get charged. I was just going to say that I was frustrated with it. I'm like, I'll just pay this stinking fee. And that's all I was going to say, was that everyone else didn't have a problem, but for some reason I did. That's all.
Oh, that's good information, because like you said, it seemed like it was not an issue, but certainly it is. I mean, it led you down that rabbit hole, and you did end up getting charged. So it sounds like we've got an awareness, certainly within this community. We've got a strategy to maybe move forward with that in a different manner. It's been delegated to Laurel. Thank you, Laurel. And
Anyway, it's
so
nice seeing everybody.
great to
We've
see
been
you, Eileen.
we've been gone a lot, so it's nice seeing everyone.
Well, you guys aren't one to let grass grow under your feet. I'll tell you that. I mean, my gosh, we need to just hear more of your journeys, and I hope you continue to share on here. So great to see you on here.
Thanks.
I have to say something. We were talking a little bit earlier, and I thought of Eileen because I don't even remember what was said that popped her in my mind, but sometimes people's readiness, that's what it was, people's readiness to do a start. And I so remember we were sitting in a Panera Bread and her mom was with her, and she All she said was, I want that. And she poked over, put her finger over to Eileen. She said, whatever it takes, I want that. She wanted Eileen's success. And that was the end of it. There was no questions. Now, Eileen coaches her, so I'm sure that there's ups and downs. Yes. But there was no question. She wanted what Eileen did, and she wanted the results. So when, sometimes people will say that, but then other times people will be more strange and they're coming into a very strange environment. And that's where I think you have to be really careful. But it just made me think of that, Eileen. I have a freeze frame of your mom, Phyllis. I want that. And that was the end of it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and I'd like to share one other thing too, because I've been in a strange place for a while because of all of our traveling and all kinds of things. And I'm a little off track and I'm working on getting back on and I'm going to get there. I know that. But I appreciate like the personality thing where, or whatever it was you guys were talking about a little bit earlier about knowing when to back off. And Carol has backed off and not like pressured me to do more than I'm able to at this time. And I really appreciate her knowing or sensing that I just need a little time. So I think that's a great quality for a coach. And I'm going to try my best to
Mm.
implement that.
Well, you have everything it takes, Eileen, and you're not that off track. You just had a very, very long trip. And I can remember one of the, whew, was it, one of the Australians or New Zealand's, and she said, well, I went back on the program because this was like in the fall, because I had a birthday and, the birthday cake and the vacations and stuff. And so she said, I went back and I went on back on the program again. So for all of you, even coaches sometimes have to go back on the program. And I thought, well, that was so good. And then I thought Casey uh, Putz from Network 21, who's a great coach and does a lot of the Network 21 things, did in really, really good. It was a spotlight a few weeks ago about her story, and her dad, Mike Wilson, actually interviewed her, and it was very, very good. And she talked about things like the sugar and I don't know if she said alcohol, but it was the sugar. It was just all the things that all of us come into the program with in varying degrees. And the challenges that she met for years until she finally made the decision that she was going to change her lifestyle. So losing weight is one thing, but changing a lifestyle is different. And it took her all these years around Network 21 and HealthPointe to finally make that decision. And I thought that was very good because we all have to find ourselves in other people's stories. And that's why I really, really urge people to either be on if you can. I realize we have a lot of stuff going on. If you can't, pretty much send out the recordings, and I'll try to make sure I get all the recordings sent out because they're so helpful. There was just one last week, Nancy Morton, with with her gentleman. And he talked about the same thing. His was sugar and alcohol because he was extremely social. I mean, they were always doing something social. And they finally had to just come to that conclusion. And so I think I sent that one out to everybody. But yeah, these stories are really wonderful. So if you get flooded with recordings, we're not trying to flood your mailbox with a lot of stuff, and we're not trying to flood you with a lot of activities. But if you can't be on the activity, take some time and listen to the recording. Remember, when we do our walks, that's a great time to listen to these because it could be the very one that just flips your switch or your people's switch. And sometimes, like Laurel said, it's like kind of looking in, sticking your toe in the water, looking in from the outside, or just having a schedule that you can't be on that particular time. So anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
Can I
Great
share one
stuff.
more thing, Eric? Can I say one more thing?
Yes, for sure.
Yes. So that's interesting. I really appreciated those audios. And we too, like in our travels, there's a lot of sugar involved, you know, and after you've done the program for a couple of years, you think you got it going on. And I feel like the sugar for me is an issue because, well, really for everyone, you can go down the rabbit hole. But so we had some friends over and we had a dessert we served, and she's slim. She's about 10 years older than me. She does running and everything. And she's like, no, no, she didn't want dessert. And I don't know how, whether I asked her or whatever, she doesn't eat dessert. She goes, no, I just don't. Um, and I think it's because of the whole thing. You get sucked into sugar. But she doesn't do Health Point. She's just very physically fit, and that's her choice, you know. And I think some people have a hard time, myself included, having just a little. Then you want a little more, you know. So I think you have to find your what works for you. And I also wanted to
Mm.
say my hair is wet, not this isn't how it's supposed to look.
You look great, Eileen, and you sound great, and we really appreciate everything that you've added on here. Not the least of which is just pointing out with Carol and how she's, I mean, there's a reason, her and Hank, do what they do and are as big time as they are. They know when to maybe give you a little poke in the ribs, and they know when to back off. And
Yeah, awesome.
yeah,
They're
it's a really,
awesome.
really big deal there. So thank you for that. David Munoz, I saw your dog licking your face and I wanted to interject at that point, but tell us about your small or non-scale wins. Is that your non-scale win that you're not eating sugar, but you taste like sugar? So your dog is licking your face, or what's going on here?
Well, what was funny is that she muted my earphone. I had my earphone in, and she comes up and licked me right there and turned it off. I'm like, okay, I better cut that back on.
That's great.
Yeah,
Tell us
but
about
actually,
your non-scale. Yeah.
yeah, no problem. Actually, it's a quick one, but my wife was saying, I'm not buying you any clothes because you're losing weight, and we want to see what you fit in. So this morning I went downstairs and I was going to go work out at the gym, just get a few steps in because I got up kind of early. And I saw my son's large shirt there and I'm like, I wonder. So I put it on and I sent my son a picture with me in his shirt saying, hey, do you think this fits? He hasn't replied yet. One of his favorite too is the Detroit Piston one. But yeah, Eileen, I will tell you this too. I was talking to my mom just yesterday, and she goes, "Wow, you're looking slim." I said, "Well, thanks." And she goes, "What in the program works?" I go, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "What would you say is the most important part of the program?" I said, "So you're telling me, asking me what one thing makes the whole thing work?" And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you saw my blood sugar. I had 3 tests, and they all came back clean, and everything was perfect, right?" And I said, all the weight loss, and the doctors say I'm ready for my operation. Everything's looking good. And I said, well, there is. And she goes, yeah. And I go, so there is one thing about it that makes it all work. And she goes, what? I said, the program. So I said, there's not one part of it, it's the program. So, and I said, well, Eddie's getting skinny. I said, yeah, and 1/3 of all skinny people are fat. They have diabetic issues and such. So, I mean, just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy. So, I think that's something about that other person too you were talking with. Just because she's skinny doesn't mean she's healthy.
Right, right. There's a not a scientific term, but a medical term. It's slang called SOFI, SOFI, skinny outside, fat inside, because they're talking about visceral fat. And we've talked about that. And you're right, David, that you don't see that. It's around your organs, but it's the fat that's correlated with chronic disease. So, she could be skinny on the inside and outside, or
Yeah.
and then also rare, but happens is people that are even not only overweight but obese and might not have high levels of visceral fat. It's unusual, but it's possible. So yeah, but great stuff and great non-scale victory there. Wearing your son's clothing. I'll comment on something that Emily, her and I were traveling across the state yesterday, And she mentioned something, and I said, "Oh man, I got to make note of that." She was talking about a particular person, and um, she said, how was she describing? She said the term she used is, "Yeah, she can still do tuck-in shirts." And I was like, I've never heard that before. That is like, I'm going to steal that and use that. Um, and maybe it's, I never make, I don't want to like, paint it with a broad brush here, but maybe it's a more of a gal thing than a guy thing. But I thought about it, and I instantly pictured what she's talking about, right? That this gal that she was talking about can still tuck in. She still does. She says, yeah, she's sharp and classy. She still does, and she was just talking about where she's at in terms of her health and her weight. And she said, yeah, she still does, or she does tuck in shirts. And of course, the inverse of that is not tucking in your shirt because you don't want to. And I get that. And that applies to us men too, right? But that
Eric,
is,
there's a whole, I've seen it when I'm traveling on the airplane and the advertisement there. It's definitely a man thing too, because there's a whole website of shirts, dress, business shirts, whatever. I think the name of it is Untuck,
well, that is true.
untuck.com.
That is true. Yeah. And actually, I'm a fan of that brand. I like Untucked
There you
too.
go.
So,
And Eric, this is Sharon. If I could just say, remember that we have something now to conquer that visceral fat, that excess Moro orange. For some,
yes.
we even put out the stats on that. If somebody takes it 3 months and 6 months in a row, and how much visceral fat they lose. And I have seen that work, well, not only with myself, but with my clients.
Mm, that's so
Yeah,
great, Sharon.
I
And
take that myself too. So it works. And I've had
yeah,
it for over 6 months.
I'm so glad that you pointed that out, Sharon, because that's right. And we've seen where you've unpacked this. I don't know if it was on one of the Monday nights or when it was, but where, again, this is it's not super common for, any corporation, but particularly the Amway Corporation to point out, clinical data and studies. And with that particular product, if I recall correctly, they had, like clinical studies that was showing, the reduction in visceral fat.
Yes, and I don't know of another product that does that. I mean, we have so many unique things with Nutrilite, and I would just say, we just need to take care of ourselves. And but I love that excess Moro orange, and I would say get that and keep taking it.
Yep. I'm making a note here because there are scans that you can have done that I do pretty much every week on people, and it will show a lot of different body composition things like skeletal muscle mass and stuff like that. But one of the things it shows is visceral fat. And again, this is the one that is correlates with chronic disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, coronary heart disease, and so forth. The other, visible fat, we tend to focus more on that, and people are motivated by that, and that's fine, and that's great, and it has its own benefits to reducing that, of course. But the subcutaneous fat, that visceral fat, I'm sorry, the subcutaneous fat, the visible fat, doesn't correlate with chronic disease like the fat that you can't see that's wrapped around your organs. So what a great reminder, Sharon. Thank you on that, on excess Moro orange. Check it out, guys, if you have it. That's and we probably have the recording of that talk that you did as well. So
Eric, I was going to say with
yeah.
my article's a little long, so I'm thinking I'll just defer to Carol to let her
Okay.
do her thing. But I did want to add, because David said about it being the program, there's an expression that probably won't mean much to people unless they're familiar with guns. But I had a doctor once say, it's not the silver bullet, it's the silver buckshot.
Ah,
In other words, it's a
well,
lot of things coming at you that are important, not just one thing. So anyway, I thought that was kind of similar to
it,
It's the Program.
I like that. So it's like David Munoz was telling, I think he was saying his mom, yeah, what's that one thing? It's the program. And it's not just a silver bullet, but it's a buckshot. I can relate. I'm a hunter, and I will make a note
I
that
knew
in
you'd like
Michigan,
that.
yeah, today is opening day of gun season. It is November 15th. And had it not been that I already harvested a big elk out west, and our freezer is full of delicious venison. Sorry for all you non-hunters. I am a hunter and I love venison, and Emily and I both do. So, had it not been for that, I would probably have to kick the can on this morning's episode because it's the morning of gun deer season. So, I do get that analogy. Buckshot is a inside a shell. It has many, many, many BBs, and when you shoot it, it's many that come out. Whereas a bullet, a silver bullet, of course, just one thing. And that is what we have here. It's not just one thing. It's the program. It's the buckshot. I kind of like the buckshot, the buckshot approach. Well, copy that on maybe putting a pin in your docket item for a future episode, and we'll turn it back over to Carol to talk with us about how to properly start their day and some elements in our schedule that are coming up.
Well, thank you, Eric. And first of all, my sincere apology for any interruptions that my neighborhood might have caused today. I was the person, and we had a garage sale going on, and I didn't think it would interrupt, but there's just a lot of activity. So forgive me for that. I do not like to be an interrupter. I want to be an encourager, not an interrupter. Okay, so real quickly, we were talking about different products today, and there is two products that I want to just real briefly touch on because Sharon did a great job, I think probably on both of them, but definitely on the first one, and that is Begin. And I have to be honest with you, I'd always been a probiotic and fiber, balanced within fiber, and I did not get in on the Begin initially. And when I did, I found 4 containers in my closet. So I figured I better begin. And I'm telling you, it is a life changer. So if you have an individual that's coming on HealthPointe, and Eric, you talked about it, we don't need to go in depth, but if they have a slow digestion, slow processing, a constipation problem, which many people come in with that and sometimes are very sensitive to talk about it. Begin and the balance within, first thing in the morning, a scoop of Begin and one balance within, because Begin does not have probiotics. It's got pre and post. It's got spirulina and all kinds of green, wonderful stuff, but it does not have probiotics. And so you need both of those together. Stir them in a glass of water, not hot, but a room temperature or cold, and drink that down. And I'll tell you what, that is the greatest thing to help people feel really, really good from the inside out every day. And I'm saying every day. Somebody here mentioned about consistency. Consistency in taking your supplements is really important. And I hear a lot of times people will take it and then they don't take it, and then they'll take it and don't take it, and then they end up with a problem. And so if you're going to take it, write down what you're going to take and why, what it's going to do for you personally, and then keep taking it because it does build into your system. It makes everything work properly. So that's a feel-good product right from the get-go. And then the second one is the energy and focus, rhodiola. And Sharon talks about that as being the happy pill. And I will tell you that I get up every morning and take one of those with a full glass of water, and it makes your day so much more pleasant. And if you've had a stressful day, take one in the afternoon, and then you'll have a wonderful evening also. And I feel that if you can make a person feel good from the inside out, You can make them feel happy and less stress, and much, much better all the way around in their um, benefit of rhodiola, the adaptogen herb. Those two things will keep them on the program, because you hear so many times, wow, I feel so good on this program. I feel so fabulous on this program. Well, they started with energy and focus, they started clean eating, all those types of things, but that will give you some really nice immediate results. So I just wanted to bring that up to you. But my main thing I wanted to talk to you real quickly about is a few things we have. We have a very busy weekend coming up. It seemed like everything landed in one weekend, I think because of San Diego and Thanksgiving and everything being squished together a little tighter. But this weekend, this afternoon, just to clarify, we have our Connect program from 4 to 6 p.m., Network 21. Hopefully you all got your ticket for that. That is really going to be good, because this gal is from New Zealand that they're featuring, and she is going to talk about how she is building a health coaching business through HealthPointe. She's a young gal, to help her family and their farm in New Zealand. And so she's making money to subsidize the farm. And so it's a real good story about people. Why do they build coaching businesses? And then they're going to have 4 different people on a panel. I think it's 4, talking about encouraging and different things all about the HealthPointe program. So it's going to be very HealthPointe related. So I just wanted to highlight that. And the difference between that and in a few weeks, we're going to have a Connect to Health. Now, that's a different type of program that is going to be geared towards customers coming in, learning about HealthPointe, how does the program work, and then interviewing people that are on the program. So that, and they might change the format a little bit, but anyway, that's going to be geared towards customers. So just to give you a clarification, and that will be on 1-hour program. So I wanted to bring those things out. But the Connect this afternoon, if you purchased your ticket, you have the link to that. Then one thing we're doing tomorrow evening, actually we're not doing it, but Jerry and Sharon Webb do a webinar once a month, and they invite us to participate if we'd like. And they're going to do a lot of things that we learned in San Diego about new products coming up. And I'm going to send the link out. I didn't want to mix all these links together so you'd be confused. I will send the link out later on today. And that's at 9 o'clock till about 9:30. And it's going to be some of the latest things that we've learned on updates on new products coming. And one in particular I'm most excited about is the XS Elite. And I won't say any more about that, but I'm super, super excited about this product. And it's the drink, Excess Energy Elite. And it's the first of, I think, 4 or 5 different elements of excess that they're going to hit on. The first one is going to be focus. Okay, so I won't go into any more of that because they'll do that on the webinar. And then I'm really, really, really excited because in the middle of the night, honestly, this is exactly what happened. I think it was Tuesday. In the middle of the night, I woke up and I think it was the Lord spoke to me, and he said, get Nancy Morton to come on next Monday night's Lean Team and tell the history of HealthPointe. Honest to God, that is what happened. I'm not trying to get religious or anything on you. This is what happened to me. I woke up, and so immediately when I got up in the morning, I sent her a message, and she says, "Yeah, Monday night would work." So anyway, Nancy, for those of you that don't know, was the person that brought that program. She was taught through a bariatric surgeon about this program, brought it to Network 21, and that's how HealthPointe was born, and how it has transitioned and revolutionized the world. And we haven't seen anything yet with this coaching program. Good grief. So Nancy's going to give the history of it. Get your people on. Get them on, because it is going to be phenomenal. And just if you just listen to her credentials, the woman is amazing. She's drop dead gorgeous. And she and her husband are fabulous Network 21 leaders. So that is, and that one is going to be course, our regular Monday Night Lean team. So I'll send the link out to that. I hope all of you have taken those links and just put them right in your calendar so you don't have to be running around searching for links. Please do that because that'll make your life a lot easier. And then Eric, you mentioned about after Connect today, if we just connect as a group for about 30 minutes. And I never even thought of it, but thank you for that thought. So we're going to do that. And Eric, are you going to, I asked, but I didn't get an answer. So I'm just going to ask you, would you volunteer a link?
Yeah, I don't even know you're going to ask, but my answer to you is yes, always.
Okay, I thought I put it in a. So anyway,
yeah,
would
yeah,
that be Saturday morning walk and talk link?
yeah,
Or
let's just make it easy for everyone, and then just make it today's link. Let's use the same one.
okay,
So everybody's got today's link for this morning, and we'll use that, and that will be immediately after the Network 21. Not 5 minutes after basically it ends, we're all clicking into that Zoom link. Yep.
perfect. Thank you so much for that. I didn't want to throw another link in front of people, and thank you. That's perfect. So it'll be the walk and talk link immediately because sometimes they'll end early. I think most of the time they end a little bit early. So we will be right back on with a Zoom. And so thank you very much for that. So we have a lot of stuff to support us, guys. And I know many of you are out there successfully talking to people, getting them started up, and some of them in contemplation mode. Get them into these community events because once they start contemplating, you know that they want to do something, they're just afraid. And when they get all this different input from different people, their ups and downs and whatever else, they will have the guts and the stamina to say, yeah, I can do this. I will start this. That's the stories will sell the program, I believe, not the program itself, the stories. So
Yeah.
that's it. That's from my end.
Well, that is so great, Carol. Thank you so much. And again, welcome back from San Diego, you and Hank. It's so great to have you guys on here. And so, yeah, there's a powerful lineup there. Everything from this afternoon from 4 to 6 Eastern Standard Time, followed by and that's, ticket purchase on Network 21. You can grab that easily. And then immediately after that, we're going to use the same Zoom link that we're using right now to just kind of have a fun little after party after that. But I think probably 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, no more than that.
Yeah, pretty brief on that. It is fun. Carol and Hank did that before, and we're like, wow, this was really a great idea. So we're going to do that again. And then what a powerful lineup with Sharon Webb on Sunday night, and kind of some new product stuff, and just Sharon herself is very exciting. And then
Jerry.
Jerry. Okay. Yeah. Jerry too. Sorry, Jerry. But us guys got to stick together, man. So great to have you on as well. And
it's going to be great.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Monday
You're
night
welcome.
with Nancy Morton, and just love, a lot of people don't know, what's the origin story of this, and you're gonna hear it right from the origin herself. And so that's super exciting. And that's a different Zoom link, but I'm sure if you don't have that, you can get it from the people that you're working with to get that Monday night Zoom link. And that's at 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that one, unlike this morning, you can't show up late and get into the door. If you're not in by 8:05, my assistant Beth will not let you in. So that's just the way it rolls. It's to give respect and continuity to the presenter. In this case, certainly Nancy Morton. We don't want the avatars flipping all over the place when she's trying to go through her conversation, probably with Carol. So I think that's it, guys. Boy, what a fun morning as always. And we're halfway through the month, so we've got a lot of work ahead of us to help a lot of people and help ourselves as well. But for those that want to unmute, we're going to do a send-off here. And I guess just say, look forward to seeing everybody next Saturday, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Adios.